Leah, abolishing the Fed, deregulating the American banking system, this is all, to say it generously, a massive undertaking. And although the Republicans have long favored lower taxes and corporate deregulation, all of this seems entirely different and entirely unprecedented. First, as president, would Donald Trump actually have the authority to restructure the financial system in the way proposed in Project 2025?
Well, it depends a little bit on whether Republicans also gain control of the House and the Senate, because if they do, then it's very possible that they would pass a statute that purports to say the Federal Reserve Board no longer has any role in monetary policy. If they were to do that, then you could see people like Donald Trump printing Trump bucks or Elon Musk printing Musk bucks and insisting that those are the currency that you now have to use, on Twitter or X, on Amazon, or in a variety of commercial transactions. And that's just a recipe for financial ruin because it fragments the U.S. economy, it destabilizes the U.S. economy. They are basically ignoring all of the hard-learned financial lessons of the last century when they call for anyone, anywhere, just to be able to print their own money and do whatever they would like.
And it's not just printing new money or replacing the dollar with some kind of Bitcoin or cryptocurrency. They're talking about completely restructuring the role that the Federal Reserve Board plays in regulating the American economy. What do they have in mind?
So they purport to do a few different things. One is they say they would no longer have the Federal Reserve Board attempt to set monetary policy with the goal of securing full employment, because I guess they don't really think people need jobs. They also say that the Federal Reserve Board would not have control over interest rates. This is something that Donald Trump has said he would like to have greater control over. That is, the man who has repeatedly gone bankrupt wants to be the person to set the fiscal and economic policy of the United States. They also say that the Federal Reserve Board should not be the lender of last resort. That is, the institution should no longer have the capability to bail out large businesses or institutions that are about to fail. And again, all of those things are adding up to just catastrophic economic consequences, where if anything goes wrong in the economy, the Fed isn't there to basically right the ship and prevent or ward off the next great recession or depression.
Now, all of this is obviously prospective, and it depends on Donald Trump becoming president in 2024, but it's already having an effect on the markets. U.S. Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen recently warned that countries are moving away from the U.S. dollars and that the sanctions that are promised in Project 2025 as a consequence for that would not actually help the situation. What exactly are the dangers for the American public if Trump and Project 2025 are successful in restructuring the financial system in this way?
I mean, it would be difficult to catalog them just in a short segment. Of course, if the rest of the global economy starts to move away from the U.S. dollar because they're concerned that the U.S. dollar is about to be replaced by Bitcoin or Trump bucks, that would lower the value of the U.S. dollar, raise prices, make it harder for the average consumer to basically purchase goods on a day-to-day basis. So if you're worried about the price of gasoline or groceries now, in a world in which the U.S. dollar is of lesser and lesser value, that is just going to get harder. And that's just one of the things that could be on the horizon, if they actually win control of the presidency and start to poke the bear that is the Fed.
Trump not only proposes deregulating the system, but it seems that he may be in a position to actually profit from it. Recently, his sons, Donald Jr. and Eric, launched a new crypto startup. What a coincidence. It's not unusual for the Trumps to have conflicts of interest, but this seems particularly egregious and maybe even a little illegal. What say you, Leah?
I think it's extremely concerning that the president of the United States could be in a position to say, now everyone can print money. And oh, by the way, I, the president, will now be printing money. And so you American people should rely on my currency rather than the U.S. dollar. I mean, that has all sorts of potential for corruption and abuse, not to mention economic catastrophe.
Leah, we have talked a lot about Project 2025, certainly on the podcast, and lots of people are talking about the threats to abortion access and contraception. Why do you think there's been very little talk about the prospect of financial deregulation, given how important a stable market and stable economy is to the United States?
So first, I couldn't believe how crazy it was when I looked at it. And I also think it's framed in technical terms that people might not understand the catastrophic economic consequences of what they are describing.